Russian President Vladimir Putin has upped the ante and allowed the use of nukes. According to these latest reports, he has approved an updated nuclear doctrine and warned, it's a warning to the US with the new nuclear doctrine. Remember, this comes just after reports that Biden had approved the use of US missiles in Russia, the use by Ukraine, and this was something that was expected to get a big reaction from Russia, given that till now US missiles, long-range missiles, were not being used in Russia by Ukraine, but US President Joe Biden allowed or gave the nod rather to the use of these long-range missiles, and now this can be seen as a reaction to that big development that was anyway expected to really raise the tempers when in the Russia-Ukraine war. And now the latest news coming in that the Russian President Vladimir Putin has allowed the broader use of nukes. He's approves the updated nuclear doctrine and a warning to the US with this new nuclear doctrine, a reaction really to the US's move of allowing Ukraine to use long-range missiles, allowing Ukraine to use US missiles for use inside of the Russian border. So this now this reaction coming with Putin updating the Russia's nuclear doctrine after Biden's arms decision on Ukraine, a somewhat controversial decision. So President Vladimir Putin updating Russia's nuclear doctrine, and this comes, as I mentioned, 2 days after Joe Biden, the US president, granted Ukraine permission to strike targets deep inside Russia with US-made weapons, something that was not allowed by the US till now. Remember, US has been providing arms and ammunition to Ukraine, but it was contingent on that Ukraine should not use these inside Russian territory. But Joe Biden, who is on his way out, gave the nod for Ukraine to use long-range missiles in Russian territory. Well, let's go across to Ghazali now for more on this. And Ghazali, we were expecting some kind of a reaction from Russia after the nod by Joe Biden for the use of US missiles in Russia. And now it seems Vladimir Putin really upping the ante there.
Yes, certainly, because Russia has been hinting, the Kremlin, the foreign ministry, they're all saying that perhaps the US or the last days of this Biden-Harris administration is just pushing or putting oil into the fire of the entire conflict between Russia and Ukraine by now allowing Ukraine to use those missiles which will have deep penetration into Russian territory. And that is why this new nuclear doctrine, deterrence, which has been announced by Russia, the Russian President, Mr. Putin, allows that anywhere inside Russia, if that attack happens, then perhaps it will always give a reason for Russia to attack on those countries which are part of this NATO bloc or those who are supporting Ukraine. And this is all happening at a time when confusing signals have been given by Mr. Zelensky. If you remember last week, the German Chancellor spoke to Mr. Putin, then Zelensky had expressed some kind of dissatisfaction that why we are allowing Russia and Mr. Putin to continue the attacks, and yet we are opening the communication channels with him. Then we know that Mr. Trump, who will be assuming the office in a couple of months from now, whether he will be able to contain this war, because that was the premises of his entire campaign, that he will be able to put an end to all the war, be it the Russia-Ukraine one or be it the West Asia one. But there has been no such indication that how he is going to bring those two leaders to the table at a time when the escalation is happening. Last week, there were multiple drones which are launched from both sides, but Russia's escalation or attack into Ukraine has killed more than 10 people in the last 2 days with their drone and missile attack into the urban areas of certain areas in Ukraine. And with the winter setting in, there are reports that Russia is also attacking the power plants to ensure or to put a psychological pressure. With the winter setting in, power outage in most of the areas of Ukraine will certainly build that pressure which has been happening for the last 2-3 years. But now this nuclear deterrence, which has been reissued by Russia, certainly indicates that Mr. Putin has upped the ante after the US administration has given a green signal to Ukraine and Mr. Zelensky that he can use those missiles.
That's right, Ghazali. So, a fresh round of saber rattling, really. If you could just explain to viewers what the new nuclear doctrine entails, the one approved by Vladimir Putin.
So Mr. Putin has been hinting that any country which is providing military aid to Ukraine or even giving these long-range missiles, because be it UK, US, Germany, these are the three countries who are the top contributors when it comes to the military aid to Mr. Zelensky or Ukraine in this war. And perhaps now it was being thought that perhaps this NATO group of countries who were supporting Mr. Zelensky will also face a reprisal if Russia thinks so. And Russia feels that now, if these long-range missiles are given to Ukraine and if Ukraine uses it into Russian territory, then Russia will also attack to those who are supporting Mr. Zelensky and Ukrainians in this war by giving arms and ammunition.